Welcome everybody to the Fantasy Vision. I'm your host Cody. Today I'm covering the wide receivers and tight ends. I'm going to try and keep this one at about 25 minutes. Keep it short. Probably not go in as depth as my other ones, as my other videos have been quite a bit longer. So let's hop into our wide receivers right away. Today is the day of the draft. I'm recording this at 7:31 in the morning, so if you hear noise externally, it's the traffic going on by the outside. I live on a pretty busy highway where I'm at, so I apologize for that. But number one, I have Mike Williams from Clemson. Him and Corey Davis are my 1A, 1B. They're kind of the same to me. I like them both, but Williams, great size, quite flexible, can make difficult catch away from his body. Is actually as a plus blocker, so that's a good thing for a power running team. A team like Tennessee could really look at that. A team that's going to be more of an exotic smash mouth, something along those lines. Cons, not a long distance, not fast long distance. He is quick. I'm not sure if he's going to be a burner over the top of a defense per se. I know he wins them, but I don't know if he is necessarily going to be able to do that in the NFL on a consistent basis. Needs some work on his footwork in route running a little bit, and can be beat in jam pressure when it comes to bigger corners. He's a great size guy, so that shouldn't be too big of a deal. At 2, I have Corey Davis, size and speed to compete at the next level. Plus route runner with quick feet. Played up to competition, so when he played against teams in the Big Ten stuff, he did pretty well, fared pretty well against them, and he set FBS records. Some downs here. So he tends to grab for the ball too much while hearing, and also hears footsteps at times to time. And he played in weaker competition, so we'll see what happens at the next level here in the NFL. Will he be able to maintain his level or not? John Ross is my third guy. It's kind of a standard 1, 2, 3 here. Speed and quickness. Can break ankles while route running. He's a very quick and explosive guy. Plus hand-eye, and he wants to be a coach one day, which I think is a kind of a interesting fact. I think that looks good for players that want to do something after the career like that. He's not quite as powerful and tends to body catch more often than not, and injuries may be an issue. Obviously, he's had another one, so we'll see what happens there. Those are only 3 guys I have projected in the first round. I have another guy that's projected to be 1 or 2, but he's kind of further down my board. But at 4, I have Isaiah Zay Jones out of East Carolina. He's a decent route runner. Bloodlines. I think his grandpa or his dad played in the NFL. I think so does his grandpa. I did not write that down. I should have. He's a plus blocker, plus IQ, hard work, and leadership qualities. He also set a record for receptions in the NCAA, so we'll see what happens with that. I have him was it James Jones I had him as maybe it wasn't James Jones. I had him compared to somebody, and I did not write that down. I should have. He's not overly fast or quick, and he played lesser competition and a very open offense, a lot of 5 wide receiver sets. So that's kind of concern. Did he line up a lot in the left slot? Did he line up left outside? Can he transition to playing the X or playing different roles in the offense? We'll see what happens there. Chris Samuels is my number 5, and Chris Samuels is a guy that I have going first or second round, and he's a guy I'm confused about, a little concerned about. I think he'll be a good player, but he's going to be kind of one of those guys that will be a hybrid player, which they have, and there's a hybrid player at the next level. Athlete with plus skills. Percy Harvin-like without the issues that Percy Harvin had. He needs to add some weight, work on blocking, getting off the jams on the line. Needs to learn to read coverages. If a team utilizes him as a running back as well, I think that'd be interesting. He is a very good pass catcher, so we'll see what happens with that. A team maybe like Philadelphia could look to add him, or even like a Green Bay and try to team him up with Montgomery or somebody like that. At 6, this is my favorite wide receiver in the draft, but I'm kind of biased because I just kind of see him as a hardworking guy, and that's Cooper Kupp. He's good size, plus route runner with good hands, not afraid to be physical after the catch, and he was a record breaker in the FCS conference division. But with that being said, he played lesser competition, also dealt with some injury concerns, and he had a hard time with the press, and he's not overly fast. I kind of have Cooper Kupp as a comp to Jordan Matthews. I think he'll make an excellent slot receiver at the next level. He might be able to play some outside, but I'm not entirely sure if that'll happen. At 8, I have Chris Godwin, quick, hard worker with plus potential, will stretch the field. He played really well this last year. I'm pretty sure he destroyed my Badgers, if I'm not mistaken, in that massive comeback. Can struggle separating versus man. Not always the surest hands. So that'll be something to look at coming forward in the NFL. The receiver group here is a kind of an interesting one because it is the top three, and then after that, everyone's got such a different. Oh, I missed seven. I'll have to go back to seven. At seven, I have Malachi Dupree. Excellent tracking the ball and go gets the ball plus size. Small sample due to poor quarterback play. Needs to work on the small things to hone craft. Can have problems separating off the line. I think he could be a better Ruben Randall. That's kind of a lazy comp there to another LSU guy, but he's got good size. He's 6'2", 223, 213, something like that. But I kind of like him. I think he'll be interesting. I think he's kind of a guy that's going to be a go-getter. A little bit of a deep threat, but not overly of a deep threat, if that makes sense. Then Godwin's at 8. Nine's Juju Smith-Schuster. Plays the size, not afraid to be physical, goes after the ball, and a plus blocker, shields the ball well. He isn't really a fast guy. He needs to work on some separation from the corners, and he can struggle against the press. So that'll be interesting to see what happens at the next level. I think he will be an outside receiver, though. I think most of these guys, the only guys I think might be more inside guys will be Samuels, Ross, and Kupp. The only guy I really think can play all the positions would probably be a Davis. Godwin could be an inside guy, but we'll see what happens there. At 10, I have a Darius Stewart out of Alabama. He's great in space and after the catch ability. He does drop passes. He's kind of a raw route runner. He was teamed next to another guy at Alabama. I can't think of his name off the top of my head right now. But that was the premier pass catcher for Alabama. At 11, I have Chad Hansen out of California. Savvy route runner, good speed and agility, clean with receptions, wins the 50-50 balls. Kind of looks like he could be a good guy. I'm not sure. He kind of came on early, obviously, and he played with Davis Webb. But we'll see what happens with him. I think that's more of an upside guy than not. I think I kind of like the guys that are more route runner guys. I think that's kind of where my thing comes from. I like guys that can run routes and has good hands. But we'll see what happens. He won't always take the top off the defense, and weak after the catch goes down easily. 12, I have Josh Malone. Nice wingspan, body type, and control. Work in progress, not quite explosive enough to out of breaks, and not an elite speed guy. I think he was also hampered a little bit by Josh Dobbs. Dobbs had some accuracy issues, and I'm wondering how much of it was Malone actually helping him out and wasn't. I haven't reviewed a whole lot of tape on him, so I don't know. At a 13, I have D.D. Westbrook. Great straight line speed, quick feet, tougher than he looks. Small size. I think he's, 5'11", 6 foot, 170. He's kind of a small guy, but we'll see what happens. I think he'll definitely be a slot guy, which wouldn't be a negative, but he'll have to excel in that role. Possible injury concerns due to his size, obviously. 14, Josh Reynolds, tall, lanky frame, plus locating skills, plus home run threat, gets downfield quickly. Only downside is he's skinny. I think he's 6'2", 185, something like that. Weak on intermediate routes and lets the ball come to him too much. He body catches it too much. He'll have to be an outside guy, obviously, but he doesn't know how to run anything other than a deep ball or deep route or go route, so that'll be interesting to see what happens there. Carlos Henderson, quick on cuts, plus footwork, strong hands for size, deep threat, attacks the ball in the air. He's going to be a 50-50 guy for sure. Not the most physical and slight injury concerns with that. At 69, I have Taywan Taylor. Explosive, speed, agility, always a big play threat. I think he had like 16.9 yards after the catch at Western Kentucky, and most of it was on screens and bubbles. So we'll see what happens there. Needs to work on his hands and route running. He would be a great slot guy or a second wide receiver, I think, at the NFL level if he can develop his route running. I think he could be higher up in the list. but I'm not sure if he'll ever be an elite guy. 17, I have Isaiah Ford. I do like him. I don't know. He's not overly fast, I believe. Let's see. I got to find where my thing's at. Oh, he's light for size. Not a lot elite ball skills per se is his downside. Quick off the line to beat the press. Can play all positions at wide receiver plus body control. Size matters. I think Ford's 6'1", 180, 190, something like that. He's got a good height, but he's just not big. At 18, I have Amara Darborough. I can't talk. Size and build, natural hands, and diverse tree. Not overly fast or elusive, comes off the line and can be jammed easily. Looks to break it open before he has the ball, so he doesn't always focus the ball into him. That could be a negative thing, obviously, next level, especially if you've seen a lot of the times when the ball kind of bounces off them, ends up in the DB's hands. When you don't have a lot of space, that could be very difficult for the next level. 19, a guy who I'm really concerned about, and I don't have high hopes for, but if he can put it together, unlike his predecessor, that's Shelton Gibson. He's a deep threat, plus ball tracker, explosive constant jumping. He's small, though, and I think he could be kind of like Kevin White 2.0, route tree, catching in traffic. The West Virginia guys, when I notice that certain players come out of certain systems in college and they don't play well, it really worries me. And I start kind of looking at, like, well, are they all like that, or is it just an individual case? And a lot of times what I've noticed is, not in every case, but like these spread offenses, if people are just deep threats and they come to the NFL and they don't play, like if they can't do that, they never developed. You kind of see it with the guy from the Rams. I can't think of his name, that they drafted him 4 or 5 years ago. Tavon Austin. He's just a deep threat and a bubble screen guy. He hasn't really improved on his route running all that much, and that's what worries me, is if they don't learn it, they're never going to get there, and it's not good. At 20, I have Noah Brown, great size and a plus athlete, long arms, good burst off the line. His downside, so is the route tree. Needs to learn a little bit more of it. Can get lost in the game, and some minor durability concerns. I think he's also a 1-year guy at the wide receiver, if I'm correct. I might be wrong. I might be thinking of somebody else. I kind of did a quick blurbs of this because I don't know the wide receiver position as well as I do the running back and quarterbacks this year. Some of it's on my part. I know the top guys fairly well, probably the top 8, 9 guys. After that, it was kind of more or less what I look for in receivers. At 21, I have Mac Hollins. Size, speed combo, deep threat, special teamer, and gamer. And this is kind of a guy who, if he can develop as a receiver, could be a great third receiver, good third piece. He's a weak route tree, mostly a go route guy, weak hands, poor pass blocker, or poor run blocker. I think he's 6'2". I don't have it on my spreadsheet here, but he's got good size, and he does take top off the defense. He played with Mitch Trubisky, and he was alongside Ryan Switzer, who was more of the go-to guy in that offense, it seemed like. But he did make some good plays, and he has some potential. And the fact that he plays special teams will keep him around the NFL for quite a while. So that is a plus for that. The receiver I really think could make the biggest impact in the NFL year one would probably be Corey Davis and Mike Williams, obviously. Outside of that, I really like Malachi Dupree. I feel like this is a guy that's going to eventually be A1 in the NFL. He's just got to work on the little things. And that's a lot of it with the receiver. You know, if you can't get your route running down, you can't get off the jam, you're just not going to make it unless you're overly fast like John Ross. And John Ross I think, could be the biggest bust out of this. Just because I don't know if he'll ever stay healthy enough. If he stays in the slot, you know, he could easily fill those roles. That's the kind of things I worry about. There's a lot of unknowns to it. It's a deep class with some issues, but it is a good class. Let's move on to the tight ends, which is probably the best tight end class they've had in a long time. There's 5, 6 guys easily that could be one someday, at least in the fantasy level. And at 1, we have O.J. Howard. Obviously, he's an amazing athlete, wide receiver-like, good pass catcher, willing to cross the middle, and elite talent. Needs to work on his blocking, lack of explosive play. And is he a gamer? I think there was some concerns whether or not he gives it his all every down, and that could be of some concern. I'm also kind of wondering if he could ever be a key cog in an offense, like be the go-getter guy like Rob Gronkowski. Not 100% sure on that, but we'll see what happens. Number 2, I have Evan Ingram. 2 and 3 were kind of, it's your pick. I like Evan Ingram. He's quick and nimble, and is a vertical threat. Trouble in traffic and contested catches, not a strong blocker. And of this class, it seems like the upper end guys are not great blockers, and that's a little bit of concern. But in the NFL, it's something you will learn eventually, and you'll have to. And the tight end position is kind of one of those positions where it takes a couple of years to learn, and it's probably the hardest transition, or can be at least, depending on who you are and what skill set you bring in. Like, if you're a very good blocker to come in the league, it seems like they have an easier transition because catching either comes naturally or it doesn't. So we'll see what happens with that. At 3, I have David Njoku. Elite athlete, quick hands, not a terrible blocker, but not strong either. Needs to work on his drops. Needs to add muscle in the lower body to help with his blocks. I think he came out a year early. I think if he comes out next year, he's the top guy, and it's not even close. And he could probably be even higher in the draft grade, quite possibly. I have him kind of either really late first, definitely a second, but it could be a third round depending on how the draft progresses. At 4, I have Adam Shahan. Massive body, quick feet, above average speed and quickness, and but blocker, but has potential. He's kind of a relative unknown guy, and he's kind of worked up people's boards. And from what I've read, because I have not seen any footage on him other than what the combine stuff was, but he's kind of blown a lot of scouts away. And I feel like that could be a trap, but it might not be as well. It just kind of depends on what team he goes to and how he fits in. So we'll see what happens with that. Competition could be a concern. Ashland, I think, is Division 2. Can be jammed to the line, needs to work on becoming quicker with his hands. At 5, I have Gerald Everett. Excels well into routes, creates separation, can look like a natural pass catcher. It is a plus blocker. I feel like he might be the most well-rounded tight end of the 7 I have. And it's only because he seems like he's the best blocker. He could have one of the best careers out of the 7 I have, but I'm not sure if he'll be a Hall of Fame talent. Where like O.J. Howard could easily be a Hall of Fame talent if he goes to the right system, obviously, and is utilized in a good way. But his downside is he's got smallish hands, his route running, and tries to be like Odell Beckham too much, and he tries to one-handed catch everything, which I don't get the fad with that. I mean, it's impressive, yes, but I'd rather come down with a play and help my team out than be on Sports Center and be glorified for that. That's just me. That's my mentality, but whatever. 6, I have Jake Butt. NFL size, strong hands, tough in traffic, and he was a co-captain on Michigan, so he's got some leadership qualities there. He's not a plus blocker, not fast nor quick, and can be cumbersome off the line. That is a concern. Definitely indeed to have. And at 7, Jordan Leggett, NFL size plus hands, and he's a vertical threat. He can be lazy. He's admitted himself. I don't like that. If he can figure out the attitude and mentality, that'd be great. He'd be a great tight end 2 for a team. He can be stiff on his routes and some questions with his blocking. And that's also obviously comes down to effort. So we'll see what happens. He'll probably definitely be a day 3 guy, in my opinion. I only did 7 tight ends just because I feel like tight ends is going to be a position where it's either going to go really early or really late. And that's my opinion. Sorry if this is kind of quick and not as thorough as my other one. like I said, I'm not as competent, not competent, sorry, not as comfortable with all the receivers as I was with the running backs and stuff. It's kind of a position I understand more, especially with schemes and blocking systems and stuff. Where receiver and the NCAA, there's so much spread, and you don't really know who is a great receiver compared to other ones. You know, I get Mike Williams as a receiver because he's got the size and he's a good, makes the catches and stuff. But I think you kind of know what I'm saying. So with that, guys, thank you for watching. It is draft day. We'll definitely be doing another video on Saturday morning, hopefully, if I can get my other cohort to join me on it. We're going to review the first 3 rounds and kind of look at what it's going to have for some fantasy impacts going forward. I'm also going to start working on my rankings once the draft is complete. Might have a slight thing on that on Monday with my rankings. Nothing too big. It'll probably be like top 12 quarterbacks, top 20 running backs, top 25 receivers, and top 10 tight ends, something along those lines. But definitely stay tuned. Hoping to do a breakdown of either every team or every conference or division and see where it goes from there in the next coming months. And if I get some good feedback on this stuff, we'll definitely look forward at going forward with a site. I'm not going to charge money for it. Maybe I'll put a PayPal donation link in there if you feel free to. And with the rankings, I'm going to have to probably go and, if we do the site, get some office and stuff like that to put out my spreadsheets and my rankings, and I'll be updated pretty much weekly once August hits. So thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you guys get what you want out of the draft tonight and your teams draft the players you would like to. It is the first day, and I'm excited. This is one of the deepest draft classes we've had in quite a long time, and there will be some stars come out of this draft for sure. Don't think there'll be too many busts unless the Browns take Trubinsky 1, which I think would be a terrible thing. If they take him at 12, I'd be okay with that. I still like Watson a lot more, and I think he's the safest one of the draft. So, thanks for watching, guys, and we'll catch you around next time.